Financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Fronti.
But Lou, what we were talking about earlier is I got the first phone call of what I think is going to be many. I think it is going to be something that we start to see. And I'm not going to say
from Lou's clients. Though.
Not from Lou's clients. But it's not going to be rampant, but there's going to be quite a few people that fall in this bucket. It was a time of desperation, right? People didn't know what to do with their homes. They wanted to keep their homes. They did anything they could to keep in their homes. And sometimes they didn't get the best advice. And what I found is that we've got some individuals that filed a Chapter 7. The first mortgage they continued to pay on because they understood that if they didn't make payments, they were going to get the house taken away. But the second, because there was no collection activity, they just kind of stopped paying on it. Mm-hmm. Nobody said anything. They stopped receiving notices as necessary by law. They didn't receive any notices. Nobody knocked on their door, so they just put their head in the sand and they thought it went away.
Correct.
Well, what I found is that the banks have been monitoring the equity situation.
So they sold them off.
They've sold them to multiple different institutions, right?
Right.
But those institutions that are still holding those notes today still have recourse against the property. And they've been watching the equity position of these homes, and people are starting to receive foreclosure notices from these seconds that they thought went away.
Correct.
So do we have, what's the percentage of people that have gotten bad advice like that? Should we be worried that there's a lot of those out there?
During the...
I know of two right now.
Okay. During that period of time, what do we call it? The mortgage meltdown?
Yeah, mortgage meltdown.
The Great Recession.
The Great
Recession. Called the
Great Recession.
Yeah.
Sounds like a sequel to The Great Gatsby.
But not as fun.
Yeah. During that time, I was in a constant struggle between the attorneys who were counseling clients to do a Chapter 7 and the realtors who were counseling clients to do short sales.
I remember that.
And I was counseling clients do a Chapter 13 because the value of the properties were less than the amounts owing on the first, and we could strip away the seconds. And because California is a cyclical real estate market, we knew that it was at or near the bottom. And by the time you get out of a Chapter 13 in 5 years or so, the value of the property should be above the amount owing on the first, probably above the amount owing on the first and the second, and you'll be in a great position. You'll be in your home, everything will be cured, and life will be good. I was in the minority. Far more money was made on commissions on short sales, and far more money was made from attorneys doing Chapter 7s than I was doing. I think I was proved right, not to be boastful, but
well, you had a real strategy ahead. You were thinking ahead, not what's now, but what's in the future.
I understood economic cycles, and we all talked about that.
Yep.
And because we talked about the benefit of a Chapter 13 over Chapter 7, or even over a short sale. And so now, yes, the reason why people were not receiving notices after they filed the Chapter 7, because the personal side of the obligation was discharged, the underlying debt, the promissory note was discharged, leaving only the deed of trust to evidence that the real property is collateral for a loan. And the law says that notwithstanding the fact that you file for bankruptcy, the lien rides through, and therefore the property remains as collateral for the loan. Advanced 5 years, here we are today, and Gino's getting phone calls. Oh, I thought that I discharged the Chapter 7 the second. Yes, you did. You discharged the personal obligation, but your real property continues to be collateral for the loan. And so, and with that, all of the accrued interest and late fees and penalties and default interest. And
so the debt's now even going up.
Oh,
even
my God.
Worst case.
Oh, my
Tons.
God. Oh, my God.
Can you imagine 2 years of no payments plus all these fees?
2 years.
5.
This is 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be at least
it's
4 or
4
5.
or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And the statute of limitations on that is as long as it could be 10 to 30 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's not like a 4-year discharge thing.
No, it's a different statute.
Okay.
You know. So
this is a perfect example of what Gino was talking about earlier. And if you just tuned in, you're here with the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we're here with Mr. Lou Esbin of Esbin Law. Our business / bankruptcy / whatever you need, attorney to help you out, because he's got so much knowledge in so many areas. It's really nice to have more than just somebody who is a cookie cutter bankruptcy attorney.
Well,
Thanks.
so
I
you say
appreciate
that,
that.
you say, Lou, and you mentioned that, you have an economic background, right? You're a finance major.
I have a business degree from the University of Albany,
There you go.
finance and accounting.
And so you were able to recognize an economic cycle, and you were not giving people the solution that was the quick fix they wanted. You were giving them the best solution.
I was.
And people were probably looking at you like, you're absolutely crazy. I talked to this other guy, says I could hit the button and be done with this thing.
Correct.
And hitting the button and being done with this thing sounds great,
Right.
except when you now get your foreclosure notice 5 years later.
Correct.
So, the reality is, a lot of times those who are giving the best advice get looked upon negatively or poorly because it's not sexy.
Well,
Right.
and sometimes what I was doing is if their secured debt exceeded the debt limit of a Chapter 13 at the time, or their unsecured debt exceeded the debt limit of a Chapter 13 at the time, I would run someone through a Chapter 7. Okay, wipe out all of the unsecured debt. And then I would do a Chapter 13, and we called it Chapter 20. And then in the Chapter 13, I then strip away the second, and they would basically make a minimal payment to, usually it was a tax debt or student loan or something like that, that then supported the 13. And that became a great deal. That we did a lot of
Look
those
at the
Chapter 20s.
strategies. I love all the strategizing.
It's a game of
Not
chess.
just- Because it is not, like you said, a reset button. Boom, let me collect my commission. Goodbye. Yay, I made you happy because I gave you a 7. You got all these, well, we'll do this, and then this, and this, which will protect you because of this.
I would have really been in really great shape if I would have known you at the time that I needed help, because we could have probably strategized. I had a lot of investment property and my personal residence, and we could have probably strategized how to cram down all the mortgages on my investment properties. And if you haven't ever heard of a cram down, it's because it only happens once every 10 years that you have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
But you can force all your mortgages down on investment properties, like through an 11 probably?
Yeah, I did. I did several 11s like that. And
Yeah.
I had a individual Chapter 11. There were 7 properties, and we crammed down on all of the banks. Actually, all those properties had equity in them. So the cram down we did is we reduced the interest rate down to 3.5% fixed for 30 years.
On all the investment properties.
investment
That
properties.
doesn't suck.
So obviously, Lou Esbin's a good man to know.
Yeah.
All right, so Lou, why don't we? I know you're heavily involved in the community, so we'll touch a little bit on how involved you are as president of the Rotary Club and how that benefits everyone here in Santa Clarita and the world. And also, there's a lot of areas that you may not need. You need someone like Lou, such as corporate formations, mergers, acquisitions, mediation. There's so many areas that a good attorney can help you in to change your life and give you good advice. And as you can see, just by the example, it was a perfect example, was not strategizing correctly in regard to a bankruptcy and your second mortgage and how that might bite you in the butt and cause your house to now be foreclosed on. I don't think anything could be worse than that with getting poor advice.
Yeah, now with those foreclosed out, with those seconds that remain on the property, that's a tough case.
Is there a chance for those people to settle those seconds?
You know, they can probably go into a Chapter 13, and you can't strip it away, but you go into a Chapter 13 and use the Chapter 13 to
As a tool to make payments?
to make payments. Yeah.
Got it.
Ooh, but it's big payments because now you owe all that. You might be able to negotiate some of that out, but
You-
maybe not.
No, you have to make your regular monthly mortgage payment to the second plus the first, and let's say that you got $60,000 in arrears on a second because it was a HELOC at $147,000. So now you're looking at $60,000 over 5 years. You're looking at $550 a month.
Ikes. All right. Make sure you stay tuned in because obviously we have great advice here on the Don Gino Real Estate and Finance Show, especially with Lou Esbin, esbinlaw here. We're going to go into some more areas that are going to change you or somebody else you know's life. So don't go away for our final segment of the Don Gino Real Estate and Finance Show.